Hey there, it's Michael Greenwood. Right, so for this one, we're going to be talking about how to prevent other people from stealing your time and how to protect your time in general so you can get the big stuff done that you need to get done in a day, the non-negotiables. So we're going to be using an analogy of a feather. So a feather can be blown around by, the wind currents, different wind currents. You'll sometimes see it switching between like frantically from one air current to another and things like that if it's windy. Um, and we're going to talk about a bunch of different angles on this as well. Just to get the point across of some techniques to stop people from stealing our time. So look, if you're kind of frustrated that you're not getting enough done in a day, or you sometimes feel like you're getting exhausted kind of early on in the day, because you're getting distracted, either by yourself, or your own mind, or other people, because both can be distracting. And you can sometimes reach the end of a day and wonder what you've actually accomplished, which is not a good feeling, really. And then you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm going to do better tomorrow," and then tomorrow comes and it's the same old. You kind of just repeating. Um, so we've got to get to the root of the problem, and this video should help. If that's something that you've been experiencing. And I think we all experience this from time to time or to a certain extent. And it's when we're getting stuck into this kind of way of getting distracted and allowing other people to steal our time that it's not a good thing. It's not very productive. So using an analogy of a feather, then, so there's an idea of an unprotected feather. So this is when you've got no boundaries, or you've got fewer boundaries, and your time can get swept away by every urgent email, every kind of colleague saying, "Oh, just a quick question," or maybe you've got some clients, maybe you're a business owner, you've got some clients, and they'll just phone you and take just, "Oh, just have you got 2 minutes?" But it turns out it ends up being half an hour, and then you find out that a lot of your day's gone, and you struggle to get back into flow, and you've planned what you were going to do that day, but then you're kind of on the back foot with it. So this can leave you feeling exhausted, and at the end of the day, it can leave you wondering where your day's gone, and then you might start to say things like, "There's not enough hours in the day." But is that a limiting belief? Because everybody's got the same number of hours in the day. We just make different decisions about what we do with it, and everything is a decision. So that's the idea of this unprotected feather, where you're working without boundaries, and the idea is to start to put boundaries in place, or your time can get swept away by every impromptu meeting, or oh, have you got a quick 20 minutes, and you're working to somebody else's kind of urgency and their priorities, really, and not really respecting your own your own time and what you need to get done. And it can be very difficult to say no, especially if you feel that it's not a nice thing to do. But they say that nice guys finish last, and that's true for a reason. So there's also this idea of being feeling like you're weightless against demands, like you are going to be blown in different directions, just like a feather, which is quite light. They say light as a feather. So it's got no resistance to wind currents. We can become helpless to, the constant interruptions and things like that. And it can often be interruptions in our own head as well, trying to get us to do things that we didn't plan to do. Like being led by emotions into doing something. Like just scrolling on social media like endlessly, rather than actually doing the thing we're meant to be doing. That, like, we've set some intentionality for the day, some non-negotiable tasks that we need to get done, that are our priorities, but we often end up going for the dopamine hits, the short term gratification, and everything. So we've got to add some weight to the demands, and you do that by actually getting to the bottom of why you're doing things. So we need to establish clear priorities and protective boundaries around our most important work. So that's really important. And it's like, why is it important work? So always looking at the why. It's like we know what we need to do, but why are we doing it? Right, we need to do that work for the client, or the client isn't going to be happy, or the client's going to cancel, and then we'll have less money. So, and then there may be reputational damage. So there's always a reason behind doing that important work. If we're doing some marketing, if we don't pick up the phone, then we're not going to get money in. So look at the consequences as well. So if I'm meant to be doing, I don't know, cold calling for an afternoon, and I keep getting distracted by different things and all that kind of thing, and and I'm meant to be doing that thing though that I plan to do, and I don't do it, then I'm doing myself a disservice. So I'm being weightless to these demands that are coming at me. So I've got to put the boundaries in place and the clear priorities. Excuse me. So next one is like a feather dancing appears to dance. As human beings, we're dancing between different distractions. We've been blown around. The feather might be seems to frantically move from one air current to another as we just jump between different projects, firefighting, so being reactive rather than being proactive, going on social media, taking unplanned calls, making unplanned calls. The human mind is geared towards seeking out the easy option, the path of least resistance, the shortcuts, really. The more beaten path rather than the path least trodden. So it's important to understand that we've got to be more proactive and purposeful, and work with intentionality, and not let things distract us, and learn to say no to things, have those boundaries in place. Because when we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. And it's really just weighing up the priorities, and you prioritize based on impact and results. So we've got to be careful and protect our time, so we're not getting distracted. We can maintain our energy levels. We can work in high vibrational states, so high frequencies and high energy states, really. So focusing on what we're meant to be doing, focus is the key. So adding weight creates intention. So when you attach something substantial to a feather, it gains resistance. Let's say you put a stone over a feather, it's not going to blow about anymore. So it'll move more purposefully. So it'll move if you pick it up, basically, rather than kind of reactively to whichever forces, like the wind in this instance. So the way that we attach purpose in our lives is by attaching weight to tasks. So what is the task that's going to move the needle in the business? What are the ramifications or the consequences of not doing this thing? What is going to happen if we do this? So it's prioritization, and then understanding what the key performance indicators are as well, the KPIs, and if we don't do it, like I said, the what problems are we going to run into? Now, another thing, and we go a bit deeper now. So I'm going to talk about systems thinking, especially in business. So as human beings, we are if we don't build systems, then we can be very motivated at the start, and we can have a lot of energy and stuff like that. But we can still, if we don't build systems, parameters to work within, boundaries, then we're going to really struggle. And this is a good means of adding weight as well. But this is through clear priorities. This is basically about saying no to non-essential requests as well, blocking out focused work periods as well. Let me give you an example. So let's say my agency runs Google Ads. That's one of the services that we offer. Now, if a client said we've got a certain way of doing it as well, which is tried and tested. If a client said that they want to do it this way, then that's actually, and if it wasn't the right way to do it, but the client on a whim thought that they wanted to do that because they thought that they can reinvent the wheel, then we're going to have our boundaries in place and our tried and tested system, and we're going to say no to that client. And if the client isn't happy with that, then they can go elsewhere, and if we can't if they can't see reason with that their idea of changing our established system isn't if they don't see it's not a good idea, then we can part company. So that's the idea of a system, yeah, and actually working within that and working so you can get repeatable results. It's a bit like McDonald's. I've never worked at McDonald's, but I really respect the business model of being able to train people up quickly and get them to work within a certain system, of like flipping the burger so many minutes on this side and that side and that kind of thing. And I really respect systems thinking. So you can build resistance systems where you're doing things in a certain way. And it doesn't mean, I'm not saying add too much kind of corporate bureaucracy necessarily. If you're a small business, you want to stay nice and agile and amorphic in your structure. So, and that's one of our in context of this video. I'm obviously coming from a small business perspective, but I worked for in the corporate world as well. So I've got that experience as well. So I can kind of see it from both sides. But it is true that our one of our strengths is that we can be agile and change, but it doesn't mean that we want to have everything in our head as business owners, and then just that can be a single point of failure, and that could be a point of lacking resilience. So essentially, the way that this manifests is saying no to non-essential requests, blocking, like I said, blocking out work blocks so you can get into deep work and everything, and then actually having filters and inference about what truly deserves immediate attention as well. So building these resistance systems is very important, and working within systems so that you're expending less energy, really with kind of thinking too much really about how to get things done. So we've got to have policies and procedures really, even as a small business. Next thing is, are you operating from a place of being available or actually being effective, in your role or your business or whatever? So, look, if you're constantly accessible and reactive, this doesn't actually increase productivity. It can just make you a busy fool, basically. It can just make you busy without being more effective, essentially. So, and it can just kind of keep you trapped in, like a windstorm of endless demands, and you can be known for that person as well. And the person asking you the questions might think, well, is this person not busy as well? Have they not got purpose? Can I really trust them? So it can kind of bring you down in their eyes as the trusted advisor or the expert in your field as well. So look, as a business, got to have structure and got to deliver a service to set standards and under promise over deliver, of course. However, not just if the client's not paying you for it, if they're paying you for it, fine. But you're not being you're not being paid to be nice and answer every question for hours and hours and just be at the whim of somebody. You've been paid to deliver a result and to actually impart to the client, the way that you recommend that is going to be done as well. And then another thing is moving with more intention. So if you consider that that a feather is being blown about and they can be blown into something good, a good situation, a bad situation, moving with more intentional movement. So more intention, moving more intentionally is key. Um, so think about a bunch of successful leaders how they actually move more purposefully, perhaps a bit more slowly. They might not move about as much in meetings, not be nervous and things like that because they've done the preparation, because they've got experience. Um, so so moving with more purpose generally in business. So going into a day essentially and saying, right, this is what I'm doing. That is non-negotiable. This is what I need to get done. And anything else is just going to be noise. Yeah. And if somebody comes to me with a priority, actually have critical thinking and self leadership as well to be able to say, look, that you might think that's a priority because you've left that to the last minute, but it's not my priority because I haven't left my stuff to the last minute. And if I do that, my stuff's going to be behind. And that's kind of one of the ways of thinking. So your time's finite and you can't give it back. You can buy other people's time and you can leverage that. But it's a precious resource that's kind of under siege from external forces. So you've got to take responsibility and protect it. So building those kind of protective walls around important work, blocking out time, very important, and making conscious choices. Everything's a choice, and just remember that where your energy flows, that's where your attention is. So that's where your attention goes. So rather than letting these external forces dictate your direction, you don't like the wind blowing the feather around it erratically. Add weight, so put boundaries in place, be intentional, understand why you're doing things, go to the root of things, right? Why am I doing this work? So, we've got a vision. Um, you might have a bigger vision than money. You might have initially started the business to make money, but then you've got this purpose that you're working towards. Um, yeah, that's how I protect my time. I hope that's been helpful or useful, and I will see you next time.